All right, welcome back to WallaCast, a podcast where we talk about anime and the actors who work on them, with the voice actors who work on them. In this case, heyo.
We're joined by Xanthe Huynh.
Hi, thank you
Hi.
for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So today we have her on because we are talking about the wonderful magical girl show Yuki Yuna is a Hero.
Woohoo!
And we have the voice of Yuki Yuna, or Yuna Yuki, which I always get backwards.
I always get it
The
backwards.
title flips it around, but the show flips it back, or whatever. Okay, what is... I'm actually not sure. What is her family name, and what is her given name?
I think it's...
I assume...
Yeah, I think
I assume Yuna
her
is
family name is... Yeah, Yuna is her first name.
Yeah.
And Yuki is her last name.
So yeah, the
But
title...
because of the way the Japanese are, they go with family name first, and we couldn't change the title, so it stayed the same. But in the show,
that makes
I'm
sense.
Yuna Yuki.
Anyway, I usually give a little brief pitch to those who have not seen it so they can pause and go watch, essentially. So you can totally correct me if I get any details wrong. But, so this is the first season of Yuki Yuna is a Hero. There were subsequent, I know, films and I think another season or something, and one was like a prequel or something that were not dubbed, so we're not going to talk about those. It was brought to us by Pony Canyon USA. They did they sponsored the dub, at least. It was, and I assume this was Bang Zoom that did the actual dub, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just assume everything in LA is Bang Zoom, and I know that's actually not totally true, but it's just my instinct to go, it's like, yeah, it must be Bang Zoom, right? And it's like, all right, Studiopolis exists as well, and I forget about them. Sorry. Anyway, so this is sort of, it's one of the, it starts out, as every magical girl does, as a cute romp and about, a group of heroes fighting the forces of evil. But this one, like a more famous version, Madoka Magica, does turn a bit more serious later in its run.
A bit.
Yeah, won't go into gory details, but that's what kind of shows is. I like to call them dark magical girl shows. Anyway, quick 12 episodes. It's on Amazon Prime Video, which we learned. We totally thought it was on Netflix still, but apparently it's not.
Pony Canyon just had a
Womp
sale of it,
womp.
too. It was a
Right.
like
did they?
$80 or so dollars.
For each of 3 parts, right? Or do they have a complete set? Because they didn't last time I saw.
I could
I
have
think
sworn
they
it was for
sell
the
a
whole
complete
thing.
set now.
Oh, do
Yeah,
they?
before they sold it separately,
Yeah.
but it was like the huge case for each
Yeah, and they were
each volume.
like, I'm used to like high price stuff sometimes, but holy crap, those were expensive for a third of a show.
I think it was all 12
Okay.
episodes.
Dang, I should have got that then. I didn't know there was a complete set.
Oh, see, I didn't tell you because you always tell me these things, so I assumed.
Womp womp.
Whoops.
Oh well, maybe some other time it will go back on sale. Because yeah, I would have bought the full season for
I'm
$80. That's
sorry.
reasonable for like Aniplex / Pony Canyon / the sort of not Sentai Funimation studios. Anyway, okay, so that's the quick pitch. From now on, spoiler alerts for all the peoples.
Many spoils. So, go watch it if you haven't
Yes.
seen it. Dry your eyes, and then come back and listen. Okay, well, Xanthe,
Yeah.
what was it like playing an action hero? It's not your... I've heard you in many other things that are not action-y, so...
Yeah, it's not exactly your typecast, is it?
Yeah, it's usually I don't get to play like the main heroine that gets to like fight for what she believes in, and it was really cool. Like I like to think that it's sort of like the superhero genre because you get to like transform or you get to suit up before you go fight the forces of evil to kind of save the world, and I think it's just kind of great to have like that kind of a positive influence that inspires you to be like a better version of yourself. And I really liked doing all the fighting sequences because Yuna herself like fights with her fists
Yeah, she's the most...
rather than the other girls that fight with like weapons and stuff. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
to
she's
get to do
definitely got
those like
some of the
callouts.
highest intensity of all of the 5.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so interesting this time around is Yuna's so sweet, and she's just so cheerful and kind with her friends, and then when she's in a magical girl form, she like literally is up in somebody's face because she has to be. She has to use her fists. So it's a really interesting juxtaposition of her character, I think.
Yeah, she's extremely protective and of course of like Togo especially, and I think that's really really cool that she does kind of comes out and like is very strong in that sense.
It was interesting that they had a handicapped character. They don't actually, you don't see that all that often in Togo.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love that so much about Togo because when she transforms and her outfit is what helps her move around. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, and I noticed her transformation evolves into more and more mobility. Like she can jump around at first with those little sort of appendages, and then later she basically gets a spaceship. So like she can literally move anywhere essentially. That was kind of a smart play.
Yeah, it was nice seeing a character embrace being able to, because she transforms the first time, and it almost makes you think that she can walk again. And then you see that, the ribbons on her costume are helping her walk and all of this, and it doesn't downplay her disability, which of course is a big part of her character.
That was an interesting kind of metaphor in her transformation sequence. Hers is she gets sort of wrapped in sort of magical bindings of somehow, and then she like sort of rips through them. Like that seemed like very metaphoric of breaking the bonds of her wheelchair there. I was like, oh, that was smart. That was, again, this is a smart show. I don't care what people say. So you kind of mentioned magical girls as superheroes. One thing I've always kind of had in my head was kind of like what's the role that magical girl anime play, kind of in general, but obviously for like the female audience. I always kind of thought of them as, Japan especially has like the Super Sentai. You've got your group of heroes. They're usually all guys and maybe a couple girls in there, like the Power Rangers. But they're geared toward the male audience, of course. But obviously magical girls sort of their opposite, or the thing to counterbalance them, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that they have that for that something that targets young girls because other than just being pretty and stuff, I think it's kind of cool to have like something that's like a positive influence that inspires you to go out and do things that can better the world or even be a better version of yourself. And I think Yuki Yuna in particular has a lot of those kind of motifs or in it, especially when outside of like when they're fighting the vertexes, they're doing a lot of things in their community, helping out with little things, and I think that's really cool because that's a different way to be like an everyday hero as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I like that it makes it so like girls can feel like they can be heroes, but also just be normal girls too.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you can be girly and cutesy and then put on the costume and kick butt. It's not it's not mutually exclusive.
Exactly. It's not about being like the tomboy or like the warrior. You can be yourself, but also stand up for what you believe in.
It definitely brings to mind Sailor Moon, of course.
Of course, yeah, the seminal magical girl show. Right. But yeah, I like that there is something out there, that there's obviously you've got all the shonen shows and like I said, the Super Sentai shows, but there are action shows for the female audience if they want to be inspired.
And I was one of those people. I mean, I have the benefit of having a friend who knows me pretty well in how Matt does. So he actually tailored my whole first 80 shows of anime. I mean, at least I would say probably at least 75, if not. I was trying to be generous. So, I didn't see a lot of the shonen shows at all. It was Madoka, it was Yuki Yuna, it was, Fate Zero, it was all these shows with women at the center, which, I mean, if anybody knows me at all, knows that that's very appealing, because my big thing is in Western media, we don't really get that yet. I can't believe I am still saying that in 2018. But, we, apart from, I mean, I think it's starting to pick up a little bit, but mostly in sci-fi genres, Supergirl and Winona Earp and stuff like that. So when it came to a show like Yuki Yuna, it was, hell yeah, these girls are kicking ass. And there's not a man to be seen. So
as if they don't
think
exist.
It's interesting too. Like they have like the moments where they're just kind of hanging out, and Fu's just like asking them like, "So, any of you have like a love interest or this and that, and they're all kind of like, not right now. That's like that's not something that we're thinking about right now. We have other things to deal with, and love is not a priority at the moment. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like, you don't have to be pressured to be like in a relationship or reliant on someone else to, be like a complete person. And yeah.
Yes, preach.
So, does anybody not ship Yuna and Togo?
I mean,
I
I
think
do.
They're
so
totally
adorable.
made for each
Yeah.
other.
Come on.
Yeah, it's just.
Yay, editing.
Well, since we've kind of started mentioning Togo and the girls and their designs, do you have any of the character designs that popped out at you, Xanthe, or any that are your favorites? Either in magical girl form or not?
Design-wise,
Mhm.
I think I do. I think we talked about it earlier, but I would have to say that I liked Togo's magical form like the best because I just thought that was so cool that that she can like rise up against above her like disability and still be like a fighter with everybody else.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that was very very smart in that sense.
I
Yeah.
like the color contrasts or I guess they're all complementary colors of each other. I liked how each girl had their own color and theme.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the Super Sentai inspiration there. That the group, everyone has to have their color, and they got to wear it in real life too.
Yep.
and
their eyes have to be that color.
And in this case, I think they're each represented by a different flower.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what they all are because I don't know flowers that well, but I mean obviously Yuna's got to be the cherry blossom, but the rest I don't know off the top of my head. But I think that's cool. I like. And this is not just because Xanthe's with us, but actually, I do like Yuna's the best for like an aesthetic way. Like I don't know, especially her just normal form, not the Mankai super form. But yeah, no, she just she was really cool. I love the little whatever that thing is she has on the side of her head, that little swoosh. She just looks cool.
The swoosh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be the third wheel because I love Karin's.
Karin's is cool too.
Yeah.
She's up there with the coolness factor.
It's the red. It's
the
the aggression.
I like all their different.
Yeah.
I like all their different weapons.
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I mean, Karin dual wields. That's really cool.
And I love
for...
Fu's like giant
yeah,
sword.
Fu's got a sword that can change size and is big enough to use as a shield.
She just like wields it like it's no big deal. Whatever.
And I feel like
Anitsuki's design is very very cute, and it's where she has like it's sort of like magical casting or like the ribbons that she
she's got,
like
the wires or strings or whatever those are.
Yeah.
She looks like a forest nymph. That's what I think of whenever I see her. She looks like she's out of Zelda or something.
Yeah,
with the
so
green
cute.
And everything. Yeah.
She's so cute.
Yeah, I see. Like anime, I swear is the only thing that like fights with wires or strings. Like is like that's something I feel like I only see there. Like that and scissors. Like two weapons that I see in anime more than almost anywhere else.
There's some Marvel character who uses wires and strings, and I think it's a villain, but I don't know who it is. I think they were in Elektra. Superheroes, woohoo!
Okay, so having been in two of these sort of classic examples of what we kind of mentioned as like the dark magical girl genres. Obviously, you were in this one, and you were in the Madoka Rebellion movie. What do you think about the sort of darker tinged magical girl shows as opposed to Sailor Moon, which is usually pretty happy, as well as a lot of the other classic ones are usually a little more happy-go-lucky. These have a darker turn, one much, I would say, significantly more than the other, but still pretty rough spots throughout both of them.
Yeah, I think for like a younger audience, it's great to have like shows like Sailor Moon where it's a little bit lighter. But for adults, I think the dark magical girl genre is really great because it makes you think a lot more and makes you question what's right and wrong and whether or not the price for power and fighting for what's right is really worth it. Like the payoff that you're making for it. And I think it's just really cool to have this alternative when you're watching something, so it's not just about like okay, it's expected that they'll save the day. Well, what if they're not able to, or what if like things happen to them that makes you kind of regret or
Mhm.
like I don't know.
What if they lose the use of their limbs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked what you said, kind of a hero's dilemma. Like, is it even all worth it?
Mhm.
And it's a question you don't expect to be asked to the heroes or by the
Mhm.
heroes. They're just the good guys. Of course they should want to for honor or something, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, when you get these sort of visceral sacrifices and outcomes to what they have to do, it's like, yeah, maybe you would question this.
Mhm. And with the sacrifices that you mentioned, this show especially has a physical repercussion from these actions. The loss of limbs or eyes or voice, etc. Which one of those sacrifices from the characters hit you hardest when you watch the show?
I think it had to be Karin, mainly
Mhm.
because after they had thought the battle was over and they're all kind of recovering from their injuries, or they think they're going to recover from their
Mhm.
injuries. Karin's the only one that didn't. I guess she didn't go Monkai in that
Mhm.
battle,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
so she didn't have the same injuries as everybody else, and so she felt really guilty about that. And so when they go into fight later on, she goes all out,
Yeah.
and it's so oh my god, it's so heartbreaking to see when when Yuna approaches her and she's like, I can't hear or see anything, but I think it's you, and it's like, oh my god, why did
Yeah.
you do that?
That one
I
was
just got goosebumps.
Karin is, yeah, she's such a good character too.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I would agree. I think Karin is for me anyway.
I think similar thought to that. I think the effect that Itsuki's loss of voice had on Fu was the hardest for me.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Like just
Oh my god.
the bond that those two have is just so powerful, and they set it up very well that they're very close, so that when Fu realizes that Itsuki can't use her voice,
Mhm.
she can't follow her dreams, that she was the one who
Mhm.
got her into the hero club, like all of it compounded and obviously leads to an incredibly emotional scene. That
Mhm.
it just breaks my heart.
Yeah, Fu / Erica's angry cry is definitely one of the more powerful moments of the show.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god.
That
I
hurts.
love that scene so much.
Yeah.
Fu is one of my favorite characters, and I agree that Erica did an amazing job playing her.
So good.
See, it's like whenever I watch this, like, it's a return to form from Erica Mendez. Because in my head, like, she'll always be Ryuko, but she plays a lot of these more cutesy characters in general. But like that one's just so iconic to me that like hearing her get to play someone similar is like, yay, finally.
I think that episode 9 is, I don't think, I know, that's my favorite episode of the show, because all of the breakdowns that happen are so incredibly powerful. I get I wish that I could shove this episode in faces of people who say, well, voice actors aren't really acting. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, did you watch this episode? Because I'm on the floor crying because of these, like, it's just, there's so much energy and emotion and passion, and it's just amazing acting episode, I think.
Yeah. Also, I think when we first meet Sonoko, that's also kind of a big shocker when you see
Yes.
her like completely bandaged up and she can't move at all, and I mean, I guess also just being told that this is what you'll potentially become
Mhm.
if you continue fighting. It's so heavy, and it makes you wonder like, what did you do to become like this?
I feel like it makes, especially Yuna's willingness to keep going, even knowing all of that, so much more impressive. Like I feel like
Mhm.
it's one thing to go into battle, just, oh yeah, I'm gonna win because I'm the hero and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, well, still gonna do it, even if I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Although like I like that we got to see her like be really shaken up by it.
Yeah.
But then because she sees how much it has impacted Togo, that she decides to,
Mm-hmm.
be the stronger character and support Togo while she's, kind of processing all this new information. And man, it's so crazy to like see how Togo takes it a step further to kind of test out like, is this really true?
Mhm.
And it's so intense when you watch her like getting ready to try to kill herself
Yeah.
to test it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a talk about another shock moment when I first watched the show. 'Cause it's just something you don't really see, and oh, geez, yeah. And she struggles with that for the rest of the show, too, with the fact that,
Yeah.
all of that knowledge, which I think you need in contrast to somebody like Yuna, who's so gung-ho about it. It's great to have that
Mhm.
foil.
Mhm.
And then like, when Togo like makes the decision to go, is it to almost like destroy the Taisha because
The Shinju-sama, yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
they're oh my gosh, it's just it's so crazy like how far she went and everybody else is like, no, it's okay, we've accepted this. And even though you're literally looking at the apocalypse on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, it's a really well animated show too. Like visually it
Mhm.
can be really stunning, and I think the soundtrack complements it a lot. I like that it's very almost tribal in a lot of ways. You've got these
Mhm.
almost chanting kind of lyrics for all the big action sequences. That definitely makes you feel like more
Yeah.
intense, and yeah, I don't know, like thumbs up on that part.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the colors and the music in this show. It's really pleasing and pretty.
Magical.
Magical even, yes. Although, I wish that the vertexes themselves, like the designs were a little bit more memorable.
Mhm.
Like they like some of them do look very creepy, but because I think of like um how the shapes are and everything, it doesn't really stand out like each one that they've defeated. They kind of blur together for me. Like I'm not able to pick them all out separately, except for maybe the one that's kind of um got its arms in like a lock. I don't know what
Oh
they're
yeah, the
called.
little tiny one, that like racing
The
Mhm, that
sort of.
running
runs.
ones. Yeah.
I felt like a lot of them were, I feel like, heavily inspired by the angels of Evangelion.
Mhm.
That's what they thought. That's what they felt like to me. These sort
Oh.
of oddly shaped. You don't really like. They're very unnatural. Like they don't really resemble, except for like that guy, which is a little bit humanoid. But a lot of them don't really resemble
Mhm.
a lot of things that we know. They're just so alien, which I think is actually a smart choice. But you're right. I think
Mhm.
some of them don't. They run together, and they're not on screen for that long. A lot of the times, like some of the episodes
That's
focus
true,
quite a
yeah.
long time on the actual like when the soul is out and you've got to destroy the little pyramid thing, the core or whatever.
Mhm.
So like it's like, oh well, now we've left the body. Who cares?
They reminded me of the witches in Madoka, but I can see the Evangelion now that you
Yeah.
mentioned it.
Yeah, I can see the witches too, but I don't know. Yeah, the Evangelion one was what came to mind for me.
So you recorded
Mhm.
this a couple years ago, so if you don't recall much from the sessions, I understand that. Do you have any experience, any memories involving this show, either premieres or recording or fans talking about it, anything like that that you could share? Besides the awesomeness of
remember-
talking with us, of course.
I remember the very first time I attempted to do one of her call out attacks, Hero Punch, and it was one of the elongated ones. And I thought I was ready. We had previewed it, and I was taking deep breaths and gearing up for it, and I did the first attempt, and I could feel myself slightly blacking out,
Ooh.
and I was like, "Oh no!"
Awesome.
And so I like kind of steadied myself, and then I hear over the headset, like the director is like, "Oh, that sounded great. Can you do it 2 more times?" I'm like, yes. I just need a moment."
Yeah, I
So,
wondered hearing you doing
yeah.
those if those wouldn't be pretty difficult, like for anybody. But like we said, like this isn't your typical wheelhouse, so I'm sure there's some special sort of
Mhm.
training involved in getting used to doing that.
Yeah, because I've done like, call outs mainly for video games, but a lot of times those are a lot shorter. They're not so
Mhm.
drawn out, and we have to do it to picture. So if I'm a little bit short, like if I run out of breath, then we have to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, hers are
And then I have to
long, like sometimes very,
some
very
of them
long,
are,
even
yeah.
as anime hero shows go.
Mhm.
Like they're not,
And then the director will sometimes be like, "Oh, that sounded great. It was the right length and everything, but could you make it more gritty?" And I'm like,
Hey, it's all
Especially
worth it,
for
right?
like the episodes toward the end
Mm.
where she's a little bit more desperate and a little bit more tired. Those are a little bit more intense. Especially the one scene where she forces herself to transform when she
Ugh,
couldn't.
so good.
Yeah.
Because like that had like a two-parted to it. It was like the initial yell and then like the stretch and into like the burst of the transformation. I will never forget that one.
Did you have to do any
But
like
I
vocal
learned a
rest
lot.
or
Yeah.
anything afterwards?
Oh, absolutely. After every session, I pretty much I don't know, I would get so tired. One time I went to my car and I just closed my eyes for what I thought was a second. And then I woke up and it was like 20 minutes later. I was like, "Oh my
Oh,
goodness, I
yikes.
need to go home."
How
That's
long
crazy.
do you remember how long from start to finish the recording process took for you guys?
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
remember since it was kind of each volume is kind of spaced
Oh,
out.
that's true.
But I remember like the first volume was a little bit rushed, so we had I would be scheduled for like 4-hour sessions just because we needed to get things out. But a lot of times for intense shows like this, they try to keep it to 2 hours so that it's not too much all at once. But I do remember that there was one session where we did a bunch of intense fighting sequences, and then it went into the beach episode or like their vacation episode, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can go into her
Transition.
like sweeter side now because my voice is all scratchy.
Problem that you don't anticipate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, if I knew, I wish we could have done the fun lighter stuff first and then like gone back to the
Yeah,
fighting
that
so that I
seems like it
could
would make
kind of
sense.
save my voice. Because when you do video games, that's how it's done. You do all the storylines first, and then they save all the battle lines toward the end so that you can kind of save yourself.
That makes sense.
Well, that's one good thing about them. We've heard some of the horror stories, especially during the whole SAG-AFTRA strike, about a lot of the video game vocal sessions being pretty rough.
Yeah.
At least it's not all bad. And I imagine
Yeah.
they're better now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so. At least that I've experienced.
Yeah. So, and I want to preface this with neither of us believe this, but
Mhm.
a lot of people tend to call Yuki Yuna some sort of variation of a like Madoka knockoff or ripoff.
Mhm.
Again,
I'm
really-
kind of giggling because I'm pretty sure that's how Matt introduced it to me, but was like, it's not, but this is what people say.
Again, I would never deny that there are
Mhm.
similarities, but I was wondering
Yeah.
what you say or would say to those people, or would say to someone who thinks that, to get them to watch it instead.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, especially when Yuki Yuna first came out.
Yeah.
And I always tell them like you really need to give it a chance before you say something like that because it's so different. I know that like you said there are similarities because it is the magical girl genre and it has like the dark twist to it,
Mhm.
but the overall tone of the show for Yuki Yuna is so different and unique because the color scheme is brighter compared to Madoka, and Madoka is like so much darker, and it also has like the labyrinths and the designs are so different.
Mhm.
And I love that Yuki Yuna has like more of the slice of life moments to kind of
Mhm.
show the friendship that the girls share, and it's so much lighter because of those moments. And I think because of those moments, when you find out all the stuff that's happening to them after they're fighting and when they lose like use of like their body parts, it's so much more devastating, I feel like. Whereas I feel like the overall tone of Madoka is very dark and it
Mhm.
kind of stays dark,
Mm.
or there's like this darkness that's kind of looming all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Madoka almost has like a nihilistic feel to it, versus Yuki Yuna tends to always maintain some semblance of hope
Mhm.
somewhere inside of it, be it through one of the characters or something. Versus like
Yeah.
Madoka, it's like, oh, things get bad, and then they get worse, and then they get worse, and
And
oh my god, it will never end.
And you do have Madoka herself, who is that hopeful character, but she's not enough to outweigh.
Yeah, and then of course, spoiler alert,
Uh,
Madoka gets sort
well,
of.
we haven't talked about it yet, so
Oh right, we haven't done that one yet.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll save that for another time. But
Yeah.
yeah, It's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yuki Yuna definitely feels not like a family show, obviously, but I think the familial bond that all of the girls have kind of holds everything together. Whereas Madoka is they're pretty individualistic girls. Whereas the
Yeah.
Hero Club is just that. They're a club of girls
Mhm.
and they're very close. And I think that makes a difference too.
Yeah, they're more of a
Mhm.
team. They're versus in Monica, they've got the colors like they're a team, but they're just sort of, hobbled together.
Yeah, and they kind of fight over like the witches so that they can kind of get it for their
Mhm.
gems. And so it doesn't always feel like they are a team or they're working together for like the same kind of goal.
That's for sure.
So yeah, people, don't believe that stuff.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
never,
they're different shows. You should give them both a
yeah,
try.
and I never understand that logic, because it's like, all right, if we're gonna start that, we can take almost any show you throw, and I
Yeah.
can probably point to an older show that this is drawing from, and then that's a ripoff. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, well now that one, let's go back farther and figure out what it rips off, because
Mhm.
it's what art is. You all build off of other things. That's just kind of what. And now I'm not saying like some things are just blatant lazy cash grabs, um, but I definitely don't think that's what this is.
Yeah, you draw inspiration from other people's work and incorporate into your own. That's creativity, I think.
Yeah, again, if you just took the magical girl thing, you could go back far enough and be like, well, everything's just a ripoff of Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon wasn't
Yeah.
even first, so apparently they're all just
Mhm.
pointless, and like, why would you even make them? It's like, well, because they tell different stories with the same sort of framing. That's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I feel like especially Magical Girl doesn't feel like an oversaturated genre like some do. So
That's true.
I'm much more likely to be like, yeah, I'm sure it's a little bit different at least, rather than, there are some, it's like, oh my god, there are so many of these. Cough cough isekai and mecha and harem.
Oh yeah, there's tons of harem shows.
It feels like more every season. What is happening? We talked about that last time.
Yeah. People just won't stop watching it.
I guess like it sells lots of merchandise. I think that's what it is.
Ah, and there's lots of those shows where it's like, oh, we're suddenly in a new world now.
Mhm.
Yep, good old isekai.
Suddenly transported.
Yep.
Yeah.
So many. Did you ever watch any of the OVAs or the movie of Yuki Yuna, Xanthe?
I have not yet. I really want to watch like the second season where it has like a little bit of the backstory for Togo and such, but I haven't had the chance to see them
I need
yet.
to watch those.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking of it.
For a long time, I was kind of holding out hope that they would get dubbed, but Pony Canyon doesn't
I
seem
know,
like
me
they're going to
too.
do that.
Boo. Come on, Pony Canyon.
I know. This was such a weird,
Please.
like hearing that Yuki Yuna was getting dubbed by them, or produced by them, was kind of a shock to begin with, because
Mhm.
like I can't even think of anything else they've ever dubbed.
Yeah, they don't do it very often.
No, like they localize stuff like Sound Euphonium and stuff, but they don't usually dub it. So I don't know, man. I'm
Yeah.
kind of sad to think that maybe Yuki Yuna wasn't successful enough for them. Maybe because you charge so much money for 3 volumes.
Mhm.
Are they the ones who
I
are...
remember the first time
Go ahead.
what was that? I was just gonna say, like, I remember the first time I got the case. I was really shocked because it was so large and it didn't fit in my bookshelf.
That kind of reminds me of the case for the Love Live movie.
Yep.
Yeah, it's about the same
ridiculously
size.
large, and it's just a movie. And it's large in like one dimension. It's not like some of the box sets, which are sort of more cubicle shaped, so they're kind of large, but in multiple directions. This is just it's like a big book.
Mhm.
Uh,
At least it did come with a nice like art book though.
Something.
Yay, art books are the best.
I do love art books. I'm
Yeah.
a sucker for those.
Yeah, he is. It's true. I think that's the first thing he does when he opens up a new box. Is there another
It's
book?
true. Flip Flappers one had an awesome art book. Speaking of magical girl shows,
Oh yeah, I keep not thinking that's Magical Girl Show, but it is. They
It totally
transform
is.
and they're girls and they're magical.
it's just 2 of them instead of a team like the traditional.
Good show.
Anyway,
Back to the
we're getting off track.
Mhm.
Did you have anything coming up you would like to pitch to the audience? Cons or what have you?
If you can, of course.
Yes, obviously no breaking NDAs.
Yeah, no,
We're not
please
asking
don't.
that.
Please, no.
Yeah, I will be a guest at Kraken Con later this month. I believe September. What's the date? Please edit this. I'm gonna check right now, make sure I got the dates right.
That's okay. It's what
So
I do.
I'll be at Kraken Con September 29th and 30th
Oh, nice.
up in Oakland, California. And also on September 21st is the English dub premiere of Makia in theaters.
Yay!
So I hope that people get to check that out because we worked so hard on it. I cried so much.
So excited. I really hope 11 Arts brings some freaking showings up here. Right now, we're sitting on 0
Yeah.
Washington screenings.
Yeah.
Even though we had the sub up here, we're not getting the dub right now, so I'm really sad about that.
No.
And if you guys couldn't guess, Xanthe is playing Makia.
Yes, she's the lead. It's perfect for that.
Yes.
We both got to see the... No, we didn't see the premiere. We missed the
No,
premiere.
we missed the
But we
premiere.
saw the sub when it came up here.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was very, very good. And very, very, very bittersweet in many ways.
Yeah.
But
Beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
beautifully
Aesthetically,
animated. You've got PA Works' classic amazing background work. I shouldn't say PA Works. It's like all like one guy, but still. Yeah, it's Mari
I'm really
Okada's
thankful
first.
to have been part of
Yeah,
this.
it's Mari Okada's directorial debut. She's amazing. She's such a great writer as well.
Mm-hmm.
We did get to
Yeah.
talk to her at AX. That was really awesome. Well, do a Q&A basically.
Oh yeah, oh awesome. I missed out on that because I wasn't there the day that she had the Q&A and like the premiere of the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
she.
it was very sad because like I would have loved to like. Well, at the time I don't know if it would have been like right of me to tell her like, "Psst, this is a secret, but
I was
I'm
actually
working
going to
on
ask
your
if
show."
you. I assume you probably already were. You knew that when you were at AX. Like, and I feel like I think I mentioned that to you. I was like, oh my god, you knew that the whole time. You got a good poker face.
It's like it's in the NDA or something.
Well, I don't expect people to say something, but I didn't see any strange reaction or anything. Yeah, I'm sure some people are worse at hiding it than others. Like, oh, you're talking about that thing, are you?
So Kraken Con, Makia, what else? And anything else you have coming out? That's
I think that's all
that you
for
can
now
reveal.
that I can talk
that's
about.
true. Where can people find you if you'd like them to find you on social medias?
Oh yes, please do. I am on. I have a Facebook page and also a Twitter and Instagram at it's Xanthor. So drop me a line, yeah.
Yay!
She also has a old website that has a secret Easter egg on it. That's still there. I've checked.
Huh?
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yes. Oh man, I totally forgot that I put that in there.
Okay, now I need to go and check this out
Yes.
because I don't know what you're. I feel left out.
Can I tell the people?
Yeah,
So you go to, I don't know the actual URL.
it's Xanthe's Voice.
Xanthe's Voice, yeah. And if you enter the Konami code with the enter button instead of start, you will find a fun YouTube video about sort of how Xanthe got her start. With Johnny Young Bosch pronouncing her name wrong.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so old now. That was before I became a voice actor. That was when I knew absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I remember you telling us about this while we were at college. Like, it's that old.
Hmm.
Aw,
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness.
you guys are precious. Thank you so much for joining us, Xanthe.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. That was a lot of fun. So good to talk about Yuki Yuna.
Hey, I'm glad.
We like
I
pulling
feel
up
like it's
the...
a bit underrated.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
love pulling up
We're all
those
about the
shows.
underrated shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just have so much heart, and it's hard for me to imagine that people haven't seen them because there's so much potential in
Yeah.
them, and there's so much to learn and so much to know, and
And obviously people don't need us to tell them how good shows that everybody watches and thinks are good are,
Yeah.
so...
it's kind of been our I feel like we're going to kind of start getting into that a little more in Wallacast, is finding the more obscure shows that we love, and we kind of have already with AKB, but because everybody watches Attack on Titan and
Yeah.
My Hero Academia,
Yeah.
etc. But not
Mhm.
everybody has heard of Yuki Yuna.
Yeah, I do introduce a lot of random people to that, especially at cons.
Well, cons are like the best place
Exactly.
to strike up conversation with
Heck
people
yeah.
because, you
You
have
know
you
that you
know
share a
that
common
they're there.
interest, yeah.
Yes.
Or else why are they here?
For sure. Well, I think
Well,
that's going to do it.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
will sign off. Again, yes, thank you for being with us. Thank you for taking the time. Good to talk to you as always.
Thank you. Yay.